So in this segment, we're going to be discussing the UK's kind of destruction of the water quality. I don't know how else to explain it, but in 2017 we actually had good water quality, and I think that was mainly down to EU directives. And so we're going to watch this clip from Sky News, and we're going to talk about the UK's kind of dumping raw sewage and things like that in the water.
Rules have improved water quality significantly, but the group is now concerned that Brexit could reverse the progress that's been made in recent years.
For decades, surfers have campaigned against the state of our oceans. Surfers Against Sewage was set up in the early 90s. Here they can be seen campaigning for better water quality. Over the years, EU rules have improved the situation. 93% are now rated good or excellent.
And that's, 2017 is not that long ago. You're talking within the last, 6 years, really, that, the UK had very, very good water. And, Brexit happened in, 2020? And so you're talking about within about 3 years, the Tories have, absolutely destroyed the beaches and destroyed the waterways in England. That's not a long time.
In the early 90s, just 28% would have reached that standard. But there are now concerns that Brexit could have a negative impact.
Do you think?
Well, we understand that the Great Repeal Act will bring all of European legislation into our own statute books here in the UK. But we're concerned about that too. And so actually we want to make sure that we use European legislation as a baseline to protect our environment and move on beyond that to protect it even better.
And whilst there are
And that's something that Brexiteers said, we'll go above EU standards. That's what Michael Gove said. That's what Boris Johnson said. We'll go above EU standards. Even though nothing stopped us going above EU standards anyways. It was absolutely ridiculous, the arguments that they made and got away with.
are concerns that beach standards will slip in Britain following Brexit. Some believe we will in fact be better off.
We will be back on the world bodies deciding world regulation, working with
Anyone remember this guy? I think that's Owen Paterson. Remember what happened to him?
like-minded countries eager to pursue really worthwhile environmental objectives, and then we will be able to reinterpret them and readapt them to our own environment with much, much more effective results.
Like-minded countries like who, though? That's the problem. Like-minded countries like in Europe that have higher water standards than us now, much, much higher water standards. Talking about us reimagining the rules and all of this other kind of nonsense. What is he talking about?
Those who focus their lives around our oceans are concerned that when we leave the European Union, decades of hard work will be undone.
And, it's true. It's happened. In 2022, there were over 389,000 discharges of untreated sewage, according to the Surfers Against Sewage, totaling over 2.4 million hours of pollution. The UK is consistently ranked as one of the worst countries in Europe for water quality. We were doing very well as members of the EU in terms of water quality. We're clearing up the waterways. Now we're in a situation where the Environmental Protection Agency and the other relevant kind of regulatory bodies have been absolutely hollowed out, so they can't do their job properly. We've discussed that in the past, but within 3 years we've gone from having really good quality oceans, also kind of beaches, to absolute dross. And so for Owen Paterson, all of these Brexiteers say, this gives us a chance to reimagine the rules. Well, you're reimagining going back to the 80s and 90s where there's pollution everywhere. There was even one water company telling people just to swim with their mouths closed to avoid the pollution. Yeah, mate, that's really going to solve the problem, to avoid the health problems. And we've spoken about this consistently before. Byline Times did some really good work a couple of years ago looking at, the UK's waterways and kind of analysing how bad it is. And I think they're one of the few kind of news outlets that are actually doing major work on it. Shouts out Sky, but this is from 2017. So I want to see a lot more focus. I think The Guardian have done some good stuff as well, but I'd want to see a lot more focus on this, and I'd want to see Labour focus on this as well, because this is what the Tories have done here. They've allowed so much more pollution, and some of these seaside places, they do vote Tory. I wonder how happy they are with all the pollution. I really wonder, are they happy with having the beaches closed, the impact that's going to have on tourism? Are they really happy with what's happened here? But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.